Here again to bring you their best bets and expert picks for every game on this week's NFL schedule, it's the Green Men, brought to you by WSN.com.
Welcome to the NFL WSN Pick'em Show. My name is Adam Forsyth, joined as always by Ryan Sullivan, and we are down to the nitty-gritty. Only 3 games left on the NFL season, 2 of them. This weekend, it is NFC and AFC Championship time.
I was wondering where you were going with that, the Pro Bowl.
Oh, no, I'm not counting the Pro Bowl. I'm counting the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, okay, well, of course.
The Super Bowl.
I thought you were throwing the Pro Bowl in there.
4 if you're a big Pro Bowl fan.
Yeah, okay. I thought we're covering out the next couple weeks here.
But how good was football this past weekend?
Oh, my gosh. That was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It's like one of the best comebacks you will ever see in your entire life.
Ridiculous with Kansas City and Houston. Fantastic way to cap it off for that Packers-Seahawks game. Tons of theatrics there. The Packers advancing. What more can you say? It was fantastic.
It was pretty unreal. I mean, the Packers game, and why don't we just dive into it here? Because that, I'll openly admit, was my best bet. I took the Seattle Seahawks to, it was a 4-point spread for the Pack. I'm like, no problem. The Hawks can at least cover that. I didn't say they'd win. I mean, I did my picks, but in the best bet, I just picked the spread.
Fair enough.
And, they lost by 5. The Packers just said, go to bed. And that's exactly what happened. So, it was very unfortunate, but now I fall to 2-1-1 over the last 4. Not too bad. I can rebound this week. I've got a gem coming up here. It is unfortunate, but I don't know. I felt a little solace. Before the Pack game, but I was like, oh man, Force is going to lose, and he is going to lose handily on his best bet. And you did in the first quarter, and then everything changed in an instant.
Yeah, so if you're wondering what Ryan is talking about right
very
now,
cryptic,
the way the show works is we are going to break down each and every single game on the NFL slate. Last week, we had our big divisional week previews, and we had to lay out our best bet, as we will this week. Yeah. And last week, as Ryan mentioned, unfortunately, he went the wrong way, went against my Packers.
We usually describe how the show works right off the top.
You were just so eager to admit that you lost.
But I thought that, secretly, you were just trying to, put some salt in the wound sort of thing. So I just tried to get ahead of it, throw it out there.
That's fair enough. So, again, if you are not familiar with the show, Ryan does lose a lot on WSN, but he also has some winners. We'll get to those in a moment, because my best bet last week was the Chiefs to cover a 10-point spread against the who did they play? The Texans? Oh, right. They played the Texans and won. Now, if I told you
didn't see him for 3 quarters, so you can forget him easily.
If I told you my best bet last week was down 24 points in the second quarter and then came back to cover a 10-point spread, you'd call me crazy. But I am not crazy. I'm smart like a fox, because I had the Chiefs, and they secured a place in the AFC Championship game. And more importantly for me, they were my best bet of the week.
I watched a lot of that Planet Earth, and foxes are pretty smart.
Very smart. Know who else is smart? Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. 4 touchdowns in the second quarter. Ridiculous. I admit I was shaking in my boots with the whole KFC sluggish start. It didn't look good.
No, it did not.
I just blinked, and all of a sudden it was 24 buzz. But again, Casey coming back, that was my best bet of the week. You also had some big prop bets, though.
I had some big wins.
That's your specialty. That's your bread and butter.
It is my bread and butter. Thank you for turning the tables a little bit here. I had a few money and spread wins on the board once again, but I was most excited about the props. How can you not? Become playoff time. It's all about the PROPs. And Marshawn Lynch, I hate to see this guy exit. I really do. Not because, it was a legendary career, and it looks like it's pretty much sealed up and finished now, but 4 touchdowns in 3 games. He was an anytime touchdown king, and I hedged my bet last week too. I thought, you know what, I'll push this. I'll parlay this a little bit, and I said Marshawn Lynch with 2+ touchdowns in that game. Nailed it. Made some nice dough on that one. It was an awful football game aside from that with the best bet, but we've been past that already. I cashed in heavily on taking Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry with the over in the rushing yards. That was nice. Lamar went 140, Derrick Henry almost 200. This guy's having an amazing stretch of games. Meanwhile, I said steer clear of Ryan Tannehill's passing yards. That was a pretty safe bet. He threw for 88 yards. Not a great playoff performance. And meanwhile, we'll give credit where credit's due. We both had the under in the Niners game along with the under in the Ravens. I decided to defy the odds, though, and go in the over in the Hawks Pack, and that one nailed as well. So, not a great week with the best bet, but some little
redemption in there.
Little wins. All
right. I also had a pretty good week, I'd say. I was so betting on the wild card weekend. So I needed a bounce back effort, and boy, did I ever. I had the Packers, Chiefs, and 49ers to cover. Those three teams did. I played the unders in the 49ers Vikings game, the Ravens Titans games. Those both hit as well. As for player props, I was all over the Travis Kelce receptions, got that one, and I loaded up on the Packers Seahawks game. That was where everything, I was all in on that one. I had a massive parlay that hit on Marshawn Lynch, Devontae Adams, and Aaron Jones to all score TDs and the Packers to win. That one all but secured a profitable NFL playoff for myself. Now, I just did mention, I was like Packers, Chiefs, and 49ers to cover because my biggest miss of the week, and I think it kind of went this way for most people, I kind of figured with all four favorites, there was going to be one game that went a little sideways, and this game was the Titans having no issues with the lifeless Ravens. Baltimore entered that game having won 12 in a row, but Tennessee rolling. They definitely deserved the win, even if I thought Baltimore would cover.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm right there with you. That was my biggest miss as well. And like you say, we could jump on the majority of the betting population in this and join them comfortably. Everyone at least picked the Ravens to put up a fight in that game. And what puts a little salt in the wound, though, is that in the second quarter, I'm like, you know what? Now Ravens will come back. They'll come back. So I put down a few more bucks on it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So that was a little unfortunate. But what can you do? It builds character, and moving ahead, you need character when it comes to these AFC and NFC championship games. So
we need redemption, too.
Yeah.
So let's get into our best bet of the week. We only have two games to pick from.
We do.
Who is your best bet of the week?
Okay.
Absolutely.
We have the Kansas City Chiefs over the Tennessee Titans. And, you might be thinking, well, come on, the Chiefs obviously in this game, but it's a 7.5 point spread. And right now, last I checked, 56% of bettors are taking the Tennessee Titans. So I guess in a way, I'm going against the grain here a little bit. I'm not sure that I can live in a world where Ryan Tannehill defeats each division winner in 4 straight weeks and goes to the Super Bowl. I'm not sure that I'm ready for that world just yet. My mind just can't quite fathom that just yet. What I do know, though, is that the Kansas City Chiefs defense and offense, they deserve a lot of respect, and especially in the defense. And I'll get to that when it comes to the picks a little later. But, they're just... They were suffocating at times. I know Deshaun Watson had a bit of a day still, regardless. But, they shut down that run game, and that's why I have so much confidence in them this one, because that's really all Tennessee has going for them is that run game. And if you can shut down Derrick Henry, even in the slightest, and by that, I mean even shut him down to around 100 yards, which for any other running back in the league, that's a day. But for Derrick Henry, that's half the effort there. So if you can shut him down a little bit, which I think they will, this is a Chiefs football game. I don't see the Titans putting up a fight for all 4 quarters, and so I'm pretty comfortable with a 7.5 point spread that the Kansas City Chiefs will get the job done and will move on to the Super Bowl.
Ready for my best bet of the week?
I'm ready, buddy.
I am taking the Tennessee Titans to cover 7.5 points against the Kansas City Chiefs. One of us will be right, one of us will be wrong, and there will be a victor.
Come on.
Oh yeah, let's get this done.
Ridiculous.
Did you see Kansas City?
So we're not watching the NFC Championship.
Did you see Kansas City start? You can't allow that many points. Sure, they have the power to come back, but the Texans defense is very different from the Titans defense. And on top of that, the Titans run game is very different from the Texans run game. You're like, oh, they shut down the Texans run game. But Carlos Hyde, does Duke Johnson still play on that team? He won't anymore after that performance. It doesn't matter. Derrick Henry is going to get the job done. He is going to control this game. Ball possession is key, and as long as they keep it on the ground, that clock is going to roll, which means Patrick Mahomes will not have the ball. I'm taking the Titans as my best bet to cover.
I do agree with some of what you've said with that start, but, you got a blocked punt. Tyreek Hill fumbles a punt. These are fixable mistakes.
Are they?
I'd like to think so.
You hope so. It's your best bet of the week.
I do, man. You're not wrong.
All right, so there we go. We're going head-to-head for the first time this season in the best bet category. I'm pumped for it. Before we get to our full predictions for the week, though, we want to hear from you. Give us your wildest predictions for the AFC and NFC championship game. We'll promise we'll discuss the top comments in next week's video, and be sure to like and subscribe to WSN videos and our weekly NFL predictions on YouTube and on WSN.com. We had a ton of feedback, maybe the most ever, for the divisional weekend. A lot of people getting in their picks, some right, some wrong. Nicholas Rex was all over the board, and I loved it. He was throwing some wild ones. He said his boldest prediction, Sammy Watkins would have the most receiving yards for the Chiefs. Well, he finished second to Travis Kelce. Still a solid day for Watkins. He was the most among the wide receivers, I suppose. He also had the 49ers covering, which he nailed that one. Matthew James predicted wins for Green Bay, Minnesota, Baltimore, and Kansas City. He goes 2 for 4. A split decision, so not bad there.
names.
Yep. is a wild one, a weird name, but I like it. It is what it is on YouTube. Had a great week predicting wins and covers for the Packers and the 49ers, also landing a nice little hit on a Titans cover. And then Ryan, several people accused us. We said, you guys are just playing it easy. You're just picking all the favorites, going heavy on the favorites. But you know what? I went 3 for 4. That is a very profitable margin. So
yes, you did.
And you know what? I don't want to glimpse too far into the future, but I have a little spoiler for you that this week there might be some upsets of brewing.
Ooh, upsets? There's 2 games.
Upsets.
Okay.
For our listeners living in New Jersey or West Virginia, go to WSN.com. Special bonuses and deals if you want to bet on this week's games. Only got a few weeks left to get in on this. Let's go. You can compare the best legal online sports books and get exclusive offers when you sign up and start betting. So we figure with 2 games this week, we'll do some deep dives. We're going to get into the overs, the unders, the props, the spreads. We're going to break it all down. We'll give you the weather for this game, whatever. Those 2. And then at the end of those 2 previews, we're going to get into some player props where you can kind of go online and you can bet who's going to have the most rushing yards amongst anybody playing in these 2 games, the most rushing yards, the most passing yards, and we're going to break that down too. But let's get it started with the Saturday game. Ryan, why don't you do the honors, as it is your best bet of the week?
It absolutely is. We have the Tennessee Titans at the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs favored by 7.5. The over-under set at 52. And now, this could change here and there, but this is what we're looking at so far. Weather is mostly cloudy, 31 degrees. With a spread, again, 7.5 for the Chiefs. I got to iron that in a little bit because it's flip-flopping in the wind, let me tell you. But right now, we're sitting at 7.5. Now, that Chiefs game had it all. We've been over this a little bit. Incredible passing, sensational rushing, routes, receiving. Above all, though, it had defense. Now, I alluded to the fact that I'm going to talk about their defense a little bit. The offense was overly dominant, but the defense contained Deshaun Watson to a point. Again, 388 passing yards. He had himself a pretty good day. Still, no question about it. But it kept him one-dimensional. He wasn't running that football. He didn't get a chance to move out of the pocket too much. Houston just shut him down. And, to end the game, too, it will just leave a lasting impression. That Frank Clark sack, oh, baby.
You can't say they contained him, though, when they were down 24-0. And he threw for nearly 40 yards.
Punt. We got a fumble on the 5. Come on here. It's not like they came out and just put up 4 straight touchdowns here. Had they gone for it instead of that field goal, they could have put up 4 straight touchdowns, potentially. But nonetheless, we are where we are. The first quarter was ugly. The block punt, I've been through it. And it's a large 7.5 point spread. But with the Chiefs these days, it seems like we're not going to get anything lower than that. So if you can find something, though, by all means, jump on that. But in the meantime, I wasn't so sure on the Chiefs going into that game. But that performance, it's absolutely turned me 100%. Meanwhile, Derrick Henry deserves all the respect in the world. I'm not taking anything away from this guy. He's incredible. And, we're going to get to him in just a moment, these props. Go all day on Derrick Henry props because he is the Titan offense. We are aware of this. But without a quarterback putting up godlike numbers against the Chiefs, I just don't see it happening. Derrick Henry, absolutely insane. Numbers unlike anything we've ever seen ever seen in the past 10, 20 years, something like that. But again, it's just not enough for me to sway that decision. I've been saying it for years. The Chiefs are the future of the AFC, and that's hard for me to say as a Chargers fan in the AFC West. But I got to give credit where credit's due. That dominant takeover is underway, and I see them moving on to the Super Bowl after this weekend. Take KC on the money and take KC with the spread.
All right. Some decent points in there. It was one of the 4.
I thought they were decent.
They were pretty decent.
Yeah, it's okay.
Full applause.
I appreciate it.
One of the 4 teams in the championship game, the Titans definitely the most surprising. I think we can agree on that, right?
Oh, for sure.
But probably not to them. Like Tennessee they've been a different team since Ryan Tannehill took over as starting quarterback. But that isn't really the reason for their impressive second half run. I think it's Mike Vrabel. His team is completely committed to playing superior defense. Full credit to Titans. They completely shut down the Ravens' top offense. Baltimore pretty much accomplished nothing all game. Like you were saying, KC and Houston at least started well. They were awful in the second half, but at least they started well. Ravens never got anything cooking. Lamar Jackson looked like a mere mortal for the first time all season long. The Titans now have invaded New England and Baltimore and escaped with a win. But more importantly, they escaped with relative ease. Like, if they were brutal beatdown games and they were just going to be fatigued from it. But no, they just won and got out of there against 2 tough road opponents. It's not quite fair to call it a Cinderella run, but it's like pretty darn close. And despite taking all the favorites last week, as I said, my best bet, I love a good underdog story. So I have talked them up a lot. I will scale it back a little bit. I'm not quite ready to declare them winners on Saturday, but I think they keep it close enough to cover. Anything over a touchdown spread, a little surprising. I mean, they just held Baltimore to 12 points. Tennessee quickly becoming one of the top road teams in the NFL. They've won 5 in a row in those games. They've covered the spread in all 5. They're 6-1 against the spread over the last 7 while playing in Kansas City. So they do love playing there. The trend's quickly adding up in my favor. Lastly, these two teams met in November. The Titans had a huge Derrick Henry ground game that helped win that one, 35-32. It was ridiculous. A ton of yards. I think this weekend could play out in similar fashion because I just don't trust KC coach Andy Reid. He is notorious for having these playoff gaffes, and I don't think he has the necessary adjustments in his skill or in his playbook to limit Henry's chances. So look for the star running back to keep his team in it until the final whistle.
Wow. Okay.
I came prepared.
You know, I know where this is coming from, too, because, you know, you turn on this show, WSN, you check it out every single week, and you see Adam, he loves the Al Borland collection. He goes heavy on the plaid. But when the cameras are off, he's a sweater vest man, and that is why you're a Mike Vrabel fan. You respect the fashion.
I like the fashion.
You can't argue with the good sweater vest.
I like his mustache more than Andy Reid's.
Well, that's fair. All right, it is a good duster.
Now, what's more intriguing about this game, and I'm really torn on this one actually, is the over-under 52. Now, I think if my hunch is correct that the Titans keep this game close, it has to be because they limit Patrick Mahomes and the rest of the Chiefs' offensive core. They've successfully contained Lamar Jackson and Tom Brady over the last 2 weeks, as I pointed out, so it's definitely not out of the question. And we all know the Titans' offense will be focused around Derrick Henry. So they got to keep the ball on the ground, which keeps the clock moving. Tennessee has been masterful at killing valuable minutes by grinding out yards, taking their time with play calling. If they employ that game plan this weekend, I don't see how it hits the very high number of 52 points. Like, the Titans don't care about theatrics, they care about winning. And their path to victory is ball possession, so I'll be taking the under.
Well, that's where the Chiefs are different, because they care about the theatrics.
Yes.
And you're going to see a lot of them. This game, I believe, and you know what, I like this. I like this a lot, because we're different, obviously, on our best bets here. We're different on the over-under. This game, I believe, has the over written all over it. Let's cue up some trends here. Titans, 7-1 in the over through their last 8 on grass. Whew, that's a big one. They are 4-1 in KC's the over is 4-1 in KC's last 5 at home against a winning record team. They're 6-2 in their last 8 against winning record clubs in general, and have hit the over in 5 of their last 7 at Arrowhead. Over written all over it. These two teams are very powerful, and with Derrick Henry running the ball for almost 200 yards a night, anything is possible in that Titan offense. I will give you that. Meanwhile, the KC offense showed last week that they are near unstoppable, and once they complete a pass or two and get that crowd into the game, as you saw last week, that's how the comeback started. They were getting the crowd fired up on every single pass, every single run. It's going to happen again, and I know it's a big number at 52, but I'm feeling pretty damn confident with that over.
All right, so we are different again. I like it. Let's keep this thing going.
Yeah.
We got some props I want to get into because there's some intriguing ones out there. We have the Patrick Mahomes over-under on pass yards, Derrick Henry over-under on rush yards, and Travis Kelce over-under on receptions. And I'll just kind of give my quick thoughts on these, and I'll let you jump in there. So full credit to Patrick Mahomes for his performance on the weekend. I mean, he put the team on his back. He carried them to a win, and a win for my best bet of the week. So, hey, thank you, Mr. Mahomes. But I predict a bit of a rougher ride for the star quarterback this week. The Titans' excellent defensive line causing headaches for many quarterbacks in the back half of the season. Lamar Jackson given no time to look for downfield threats, only being able to connect several times on throws over 10 yards. And that's where I think the Titans have to respect his stellar run game. I think Tennessee will drop back into coverage a lot more this week, eliminating the deep ball. And I just think that number's way too high, so I'm taking the under on Mahomes' pass yards.
Interesting. All right, well, Patrick Mahomes, as we know, is a beast running the ball. He's also one of the most dynamic in the game through the air, adjusting on the fly with sidearms, shovels. He just brings shovels onto the field and tosses. He does it all. It's nearly impossible to predict what this guy is going to do once the ball is snapped.
He's bringing weapons onto the field.
He is bringing weapons. He's got a chain. He's got mace out there. It's ridiculous. I like the over on passing yards. Let's keep it different, my friend, because I think this will be another high-scoring game. To add to that, as we all saw last week and have time and time again before this season, this offense likes to drive the nail into their opponent's hearts. And this is the real major X factor why I love the over in this game, because as you've seen, I mean, we're going to talk about it, but you know, the Niners, they do just enough to win. The Packers, we'll get to the picks in that game soon, but they do just enough to win as well. They're notorious, but the Chiefs, they love to drive the stake into the heart. It doesn't matter if they're up by 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, whatever. Andy Reid likes to get that.
A lot of vampire references.
I know, yeah. I don't know where they're all coming from, but he loves to pour points onto that scoreboard.
Loves garlic.
Yeah, well, that's the one thing he doesn't like. The over is the way to go with the red hot Patrick Mahomes behind the wheel. How can you not? But let's cue up the next round. Maybe we'll be different in one of these. I'm not sure. But
all right,
let's see how we're doing.
will go from Mahomes to his star receiver, tight end, Travis Kelce. Now, Kelce got me a win last week on this prop, and I think he does it again this week. The Titans will be bringing pressure up front, as I alluded to, and that takes care of those deep ball threats. So Mahomes will be forced to look to Kelce with a ton of frequency for short yard gains across the middle of the field. He might not rack up the yards, but I think he's definitely good to haul in 5 to 10 catches.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to be a little generic on this because, props change with the wind. Depending what site you want to go to and whatnot. So I'm going to.
And it's a windy day.
It is. That's what I'm saying. I shied away from Travis Kelce prop last week, and I'll admit that was a big mistake. He was the best on that team, hands down. Obviously, no question. He can make plays with little or even no daylight in front of him. He's amazing. He's a playmaker through and through. And once again, I like to see him get a lot of the leather this weekend. But with that said, there are limits. So he's not your Michael Thomas. He's not 10 or 11 reception guy. If you can find something in the 5 or 6 range, I'm saying, yeah, go after that. If it's 7 or more, no, shut her down, shy away. So I guess in a way, I'm saying yes, jump on a Kelce prop, but with limits. There's an asterisk there.
He had 10 receptions last game.
I know that. I'm well aware of that, but as we've seen all the time, except for, I guess, Michael Thomas, he might be the exception to the rule. A guy goes out, gets 10 receptions. Look at DK Metcalf. He had himself a hell of a game, and he still had a decent game at Green Bay. But extra coverage comes over on you. Lightning's not gonna strike twice for you. I don't see another 10 reception game coming out here for Travis Kelce.
All right, and our last one in this is the over/under on Derrick Henry rush yards. I suggested that if the Ravens were to beat the Titans, they had to contain the big man to about 100 yards on the ground. Well, he smashed that number and then some. So I'll be definitely taking the over on rush yards again. In their previous meeting this season, Casey had no answer for Henry. He burnt them for 188 yards on the ground and 2 TDs. I don't know if we'll see exactly that performance, but something similar on Saturday.
Yeah, at the end of last season when he broke off that huge 100-yard run or 99 yards or whatever, I got to admit, I was starting to think, okay, this is just a flash in the pan. This guy was rated up there in every single fantasy football draft. He's going first round, and I'm thinking to myself, why? What is the big deal here? It's a flash in the pan. It's not a flash in the pan. This guy is for real. He can run the football. Those legs do not quit. And so, yeah, I'm with you, man. Take the over all day long with the Crimson Tide tank. I think he's just going to keep rolling on Saturday in Missouri.
All right, Real Money Daily Fantasy Sports, a great option for people living in a state where traditional sports betting is not legal. Head to WSN.com. They can set you up with links to DraftKings and FanDuel. We are now at our NFC Championship game, and Ryan, why don't you do the honors and cue this bad boy up?
I will cue it up, absolutely. Green Bay at San Francisco. 49ers favored by 7.5, another 7.5 point spread. The over-under set at 45. Weather, mostly sunny. Will that play a role? Yeah, not fully, mostly. 72 degrees. And once again, we have the Packers visiting Frisco. And we touched on this the last couple weeks. A place where they got absolutely bombed 37-8 earlier in the season. This is the playoffs, though. And I completely understand things are different. You hit the reset button. I get it. On the money line, I'm feeling the Niners win, setting up an all-red Super Bowl. But when we're talking spreads, I got to play it smart here a little bit. This is one of those times when you can't bet with your heart. And I do that way too often with the Chargers. And that is why I don't have money. On the one hand, we have a dominant Green Bay attack 1 week ago. Devontae Adams, fantastic. Geronimo Allison, MVS was on point. Aaron Jones, second to none again. And, you've been riding him on the prop train, and you've been doing pretty well on that one. So we'll get to that momentarily. But then you look at San Francisco, not overly amazing. Good enough to get the job done, and that's the story for these guys all year long. Sure, they've had some huge wins, and one of them was against the Pack, as mentioned, but outside of that November 24th game, they'd only beaten a team by more than 7.5 points in just 2 of their last 8 games. I believe they'll win, but I don't think they'll cover off that 7.5 points, so I'm going to take the Niners on the money and the Packers on the spread.
As a Packers fan, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And I see you're wearing your yellow.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Do you think this is yellow?
Gold. Sorry, you're wearing your gold.
WSN gold.
Yeah, it's just the wallpaper. Sorry, it's an optical illusion.
Well, this one, unfortunately, is going to hurt because my beloved Packers brought me a lot of joy this weekend and the season in general. But I think it comes to a halt on Sunday. San Francisco just too deep on both sides of the ball. The Packers able to utilize the frozen tundra and the screaming fans at Lambeau to their advantage big time on the weekend. But as they found out earlier in the season, playing the Bay Area is just not a fun experience. The 49ers tormenting Aaron Rodgers, one of the worst pro games he's ever had. And they've had the Packers number in recent years, a 5-2 record against the Cheeseheads, a 5-1-1 record against the spread when facing Green Bay over the last 7 contests. So it is with a heavy heart. I'll be taking San Fran to win and cover. And as Ryan pointed out there, interesting stat he threw out there, San Fran rarely wins by over 7.5 points. How did they do last week, Ryan? They won by 17.
Yeah, that's one of the games that I included in my stat.
Oh, interesting.
Of the 2 games over 7.5, that was one of them.
just didn't want to,
No, I didn't want to mention that. It's way sexier the way I said it.
But perhaps more impressive that they won by 17 was that they absolutely shut down Dalvin Cook. The 49ers will have to do the same with Aaron Jones, or the Packers could possibly secure an upset win. More realistic, though, is the fact that 49ers are a team that wins by committee. As Ryan pointed out, they don't really have any stars. But I think that makes them actually more dangerous because Kyle Shanahan has a team completely playing for each other each and every play. He has veterans like Emmanuel Sanders alongside rookies like Deebo Samuel. They've been all great. Look, and I wish it wasn't the case, but I think San Fran is the more complete team, and they should cover on Sunday.
George Kittle's not a star?
Call George Kittle
on that offense. I'm going to say he's probably the main guy.
I was trying to back up your point that you said they don't have stars.
I know, but then you disagreed with me, so I figured, you know what? I'm going to start picking holes in what he's saying now. I'm going to turn the tables
so
here.
You poked. Oh, this is fantastic. I'm
going to try and rattle your cage. We'll see what happens.
You've got me rattled.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I thought.
Let's keep this going with our over, under, and 45 points. And I should say, we are both polar opposites then on the 2 games, which I love because one of us will be victorious. The over-under, 45 points. Ryan, what do you make of this?
All right, the over between these two is 7-3 in their last 10 meetings, and that's saying something because over the last few seasons, the Niners have been god-awful. But with that said, they're still putting points on the board. So that Aaron Rodgers should have a California chip on his shoulder. Not only was he embarrassed in that last game against the Niners, as mentioned, but he also lost 26-11 in Week 9 when visiting the Chargers. And I know what you're thinking, Ryan, wasn't that a home game? No, it wasn't. They were playing the Chargers in LA, but there was just nothing but green jerseys in the stands. So can't wait till they move to that 70,000 seat stadium. That's going to be great. Anyhow, I like the over in this game. I can't wait to watch these 2 juggernauts battle it out. But I don't know which way you're leaning here, but I'm really hoping it's the opposite.
Oh, it is. Yes. Ryan, we have not agreed a lot this week, so let's continue that trend. Why not? I will be taking the under for this game. It's hit in 4 of the last 5 Packers games, 4 of the last 5 road games. San Fran's defense embarrassing the Vikings on the weekend, and I'll be surprised if the Packers fare much better, unfortunately. As Ryan pointed out, in Green Bay's 2 California games this year, they've managed to collect a grand total of 19 points. Doesn't exactly spell confidence. On the other hand, while the 49ers show they can score, if my score prediction of about 28-10 holds true, the under will land you some cash.
And so one of us is going to be very happy next week, and one of us is going to be god-awful.
Well, see, here's my thing. I am reverse jinxing this into a Packers win.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to let my fandom shine through, yeah.
See, that's the life hack there, is that you're a winner either way.
I know.
That's pretty good.
That's my motto in life, winner either way. Let's get into some props. We have 3 that I wanted to explore. Tevin Coleman, anytime touchdown. Does he score on Sunday? Aaron Jones, over-under on rushing yards. And George Kittle, over-under on receptions. Star George Kittle. Well, Ryan, he found the end zone twice against Minnesota. I think he can replicate that feat against the 49ers, other NFC North rival. I think that Tevin Coleman benefits the most when teams have to respect George Kittle as a fantastic pass option in the red zone. We saw that against Minnesota, that Kittle was kind of on the score sheet. More so a quiet day for him on the score sheet, but he was very noticeable in the game because the Vikings were focusing on the tight end. It allowed Coleman to run the ball with ease, so I like Coleman to score.
Yeah, that's well said. I like the Tevin Coleman touchdown prop. He's the bruiser on that offense. So you can guarantee if they get near that Packer 5, he's going to be the guy in charge of ramming it in. It's looked like, to me anyhow, it's looked like he hasn't been at full health these past few weeks because there's been a lot of situations that are just tailor-made for Tevin Coleman, and they bring in Raheem Mostert, who I absolutely love. But you want to bring in your bruiser. If you want to get at least, 2-3 yards, easy yards, you want to bring in the big man. And I think he's going to get the job done here. I feel confident. If they're inside the red zone, if they're inside the 10, the 5, it's going into his hands for sure.
We have an Accord, a rare Accord.
We do. Gas up that Honda, buddy.
All right, let's turn to his teammate. I also like George Kittle to hit the over on receptions. He was targeted 5 times for 3 catches last week while being the focus of several double teams. But if the 49ers running backs get cooking early, and I think they will, the Packers will have to adjust on the fly, leaving Kittle to be a fantastic third down pass option. I think he hauls in at least 5 balls on Sunday, which is the over.
Interesting. All right, George Kittle is a bit of a different story here. The good news for George is that he likely won't draw the Pack's best corner throughout the night. I'm gonna turn into Australian for the rest of the show. Throughout the night. George wasn't a huge factor last week outside of his blocking, and I don't really see him going off this Sunday either. For the Niners' sake, he will have to be one of the best guys on that field, and he should be used constantly. But I see the wideouts getting more action in this one. I like Travis Kelce. If I can, the reason I brought up Travis Kelce, that was for an earlier point, and I'm mixing up my bullets here. But nonetheless, the Travis Kelce point is that
they're both outstanding tight ends.
Well, we're talking stars, but when you go back and look at Kelce, he's going to draw the best defender, no question, because he's got the best set of hands on that team. George Kittle, even though I put him in the star conversation a little bit earlier, I don't.
Oh, here we go.
I don't see him drawing the main guy. I don't see him drawing double coverage all night long. Yes, he will get open here and there, but I'm going to say anything over 6 catches worries me a little bit. So if you can find something under 6, absolutely. But that's where I'm drawing the line.
All right, and then finally, I wanted to explore Aaron Jones on over/under 4 rushing yards. Had a great game against the Seahawks. That was one of the props I had him to find the end zone. It was a large reason the Packers are even in this game in the first place because he's had a great season. My gut says the under will hit. My heart says go with the over. As I mentioned earlier, if the Packers want any shot at winning, they live and die by the success of Jones on the ground. I am abstaining from this one.
Wow.
I'm abstaining. We can do that.
Can we do that? I didn't know. I should have done it on my best bets all season. I had no idea. Aaron Jones will be the Packers' X factor in this game, as he has been time and time again. I haven't been doubting your constant Jones picks, as mentioned before, but I have been hesitant to join you at times. This time I'm shaking off the hesitance. I'm putting on my trunks. I'm jumping in the pool here. I think Jones will have himself a good day. I think he'll go over 80, and I think he'll tack on at least 1 touchdown onto the board as well.
All right, I like it a lot. Head to WSN.com. Expert online sportsbook reviews that let you compare all the best legal sports betting sites available in the United States. So before we get out of here, you've heard our NFC and AFC championship predictions, but I thought we could kind of maybe go over some of the more obscure props out there that combine both games. So I'm going to throw out some numbers, and then we'll just kind of talk about it and see where you go. And if you guys agree with us, WSN listeners and viewers, jump on board. Yeah. So there's a prop out there, the player with the most passing yards in the 2 championship games, plus 100 for Patrick Mahomes, plus 200 for Jimmy Garoppolo, plus 300 for Aaron Rodgers, or plus 700 for Ryan Tannehill. This one, really tough. The obvious answer is Patrick Mahomes, but there's just not enough meat on the bone for me to go that route, especially because I think the Titans will bottle him up a little bit. I think both games will be decided by the runners. So if I were to bet this one, I'd probably go Jimmy Garoppolo. He's already picked apart the Packers defense once this season. No reason he can't do it again, especially with perfect weather conditions in the forecast on Sunday.
That is very interesting. If I'm putting money down here, it's either on Mahomes, which won't pay much whatsoever. It's almost essentially a push. Or Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, that's right. Going back to your pack. Watching Jimmy Garoppolo throw wobblers after wobbler all freaking week last week. And I mean, to his credit, most of them were fine in the Niners' hands, but they were ugly passes, and it does not fill me with confidence. Aaron Rodgers, on the other hand, once again, he started to look calm and collected in that pocket, and once he can get comfortable back there, he's a different player. When defenses crack through, they make him run around. He gets a little worrisome, but I like what I saw last week for the most part. His wideouts were solid as well, and I think they'll come through again in San Fran and keep it close. I took Green Bay to win the spread, and I think they'll have a lot of success finding it through the air to keep it that close. So Rodgers is my pick.
All right.
For this one.
I like it.
Yeah.
This is the one I'm probably most intrigued by because it really could go anyway. The player with the most receiving yards. Devontae Adams is at plus 300. So is Travis Kelce. They're the odds-on favorites. Tyreek Hill plus 400. George Kittle plus 500. Deebo Samuel and Sammy Watkins clocking in at plus 600. And they go a little bit off the board. A.J. Brown at 12-1, plus 1,200. My confidence high from last week. I'm feeling really good about my spreads and my over-unders this week, so I'm willing to take some bigger risks with these player props. I really like A.J. Brown at those numbers. You're getting quadruple the value of Kelsey and Adams. That's hard to pass up. And after watching KC concede that early long ball TD to the Texans, that's the play that Brown will be looking for early. If Tannehill can connect with him, I'm liking Brown's chances, and that is who I will be taking.
That is gutsy, man. That is the underdog of all underdogs there, and I respect the hell out of it. I'm taking Tyreek Hill. It's just 4-1, but he took a shot to the ribs last game. It really slowed him down, slowed his day. I mean, he still ended with 41 yards on the day. Not awful, but not amazing, of course, when your quarterback goes off like Mahomes did. Nonetheless, in this game, I see Travis Kelce getting bottled up quite a bit given his performance last week. So that's going to free up some medium to deep range coverage, and that's where the Cheetah is going to absolutely capitalize. I see Tyreek Hill getting the job done, and if you put down $25, that gets you 100. Boom, math.
That is a boom math. How about this one? We got the player with the most rushing yards on championship weekend. Derrick Henry, even money, plus 100. Aaron Jones, plus 300. Tevin Coleman, plus 600. Damon Williams, plus 700. And Raheem Mostert, plus 1,000. 10-1 odds. Why don't you jump in here?
Yeah, absolutely. If we were going total yards, I think I would go with Damian Williams. He was looking solid off the little screen, short passes last week. But seeing how we are not doing that, and you know what, this isn't going to pay. This isn't going to give me a lot of dough in the bank here. But if you pick the wrong guy, you lose the bet. So I'm going with Derrick Henry in this one. It's so hard to contain an absolute tank, and this guy is a beast in every sense of the word. I hate to see Marshawn Lynch leaving the game, but I think this guy can pick up right where he left off a few years ago. He's just got the legs that just do not stop, and if he finds a little hole, the speed kicks in, and that's where he's got Marshawn Lynch, actually, is that killer afterburner speed, and I think he's going to open it up a few times against Kansas City. Again, I support your pick. You picked him as your best bet. I don't think they're going to pull it off, but they are going to put a lot of points on the board, and Derrick Henry's going to be the main guy in that offense, as he always is. So that's where I'm going with the total.
I agree. Derrick Henry is the obvious choice here, but it just, as you said, doesn't pay. So looking at a little more bang for your buck, Tevin Coleman, a fantastic option. Just 1 week after the Vikings kept Latavius Murray and Alvin Kamara in check, he exposed a very good Minnesota D-line, rushing for over 100 yards. So at 6-1 odds, it's too good to pass up, even if his teammate Raheem Mostert steals some touches. So again, Derrick Henry, the obvious choice, but I'm going to go with Tevin Coleman, chasing a little bit of money there. Why don't we go for the highest scoring game? And again, only two options. So who do you think will put more points on the board? Packers versus the 49ers at plus 150, or the Titans versus the Chiefs at minus 200. I already outlined, I think both games will be fairly low scoring, but I think you have to take Tennessee and Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes can take over a game in a matter of minutes, as the Texans found out last weekend. Well, Derrick Henry's a moment's notice from an incredible 70-yard run. With one of those offensive stars on the field at all times, it wouldn't be overly surprising to see some points on the board. So even though it is the more heavily favored bet, I will be taking the Titans versus Chiefs for high-scoring game.
Yeah, no, and this is, pull up that Honda and park, buddy, because we got another record on our hands here. It's not going to pay much, but I'm going safe again. Titans, Chiefs, because it's the game that's going to have the highest scoreboard. No question, I think. All four teams have solid offensive units, but I believe more in the defense is stepping up in the Packers-Niners game, and that's the real difference here. That's the bottom line for me. So, yeah, I agree with you. Titans and Chiefs.
All right, we got a few more to go on these props, and the other one that was kind of interesting because it is similar to the last prop, but different. Highest scoring team. We have the Green Bay Packers at plus 400, the San Francisco 49ers at plus 250, the Tennessee Titans plus 300, and then the Chiefs even money at plus 100. I think the 49ers your best option when it comes to making a profit. They can show they can run up the score against Green Bay at home. KC, more of an enticing option, obviously, but you just can't look past that plus 250, especially on home field against an opponent they already crushed this season. So I'm going San Fran.
Fair enough. Okay, I hate to do it, but I'm laying up again. I'm not pulling out the driver here. My tail's between my legs, and I'm going KC once again. Again, not much of a payout there. It was either I did that or I talked Australian, and I decided to go that route instead. As I mentioned earlier, their offense has no kill switch. It seems like San Francisco does just enough to win and then shuts her down. The Chiefs, they're not like that. They're dominant, and they continue to be dominant this weekend. Like I said, that's the big thing, is that they just have no off switch.
All right, and then our lowest scoring team, the Green Bay Packers are plus 100, the San Francisco 49ers plus 300, the Tennessee Titans plus 250, and the Kansas City Chiefs plus 350. I haven't taken any favorites. I haven't done any chip shots, no layups. Until now, unfortunately for my Packers, I just don't like the matchup. I think the end result will see Green Bay struggling to reach double-digit points. I hope I'm wrong, but if I'm not, I may as well make a little money on it.
That's fair, and this is where I will pull my tail out from between my legs. I hate to say it, because I know it's your best bet, but the good news is you could win some money here. The Tennessee Titans at plus 250 are my choice. I think this is the week their magical run comes to an end, unfortunately. I mean, everyone loves an underdog story. Who doesn't? But I just don't see it continuing after this weekend. This is the championship weekend. I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender by any means. I see them sticking around as long as possible. A few quarters, maybe into the third, but I think the Chiefs are absolutely going to shut it down. And so, I think the Titans are the safer bet there. I would like to give the Packers honorable mention here, though. I was debating going Pack, but at the end of the day, I can't bet all favorites for the props, so that's why I got to switch it up a little bit.
All right, there we go. We just discussed only a few of the props that are out there. Head to WSN.com for tons of betting guides for beginners and anyone wanting to learn more about strategy and how sports betting works. Tons of props out there.
Contagious.
Was that Australian or just whatever you did?
I think that was Danish.
We're hitting all the geographic locations for WSN. Again, this is a blast. AFC Championship game, NFC Championship game on tap. I cannot wait. Two of those teams clashing in the Super Bowl in just a few weeks. Before we get out of here, let's recap our best bet of the week.
Yeah, I've got Kansas City by 7.5 points over the Tennessee Titans. I love an underdog story, and it's at this point in time, it's almost like a March Madness kind of story because nobody picked the Titans to get anywhere near this far. So it is great to see what they've done so far, and perhaps the future is very bright in Tennessee if I can ever bring myself to trust Ryan Tannehill. I can't just yet, but you are, and I give you all the respect in the world. I really hope that you lose all your picks this week because that means that I win mine because we're polar opposites. But yeah, please wrap it up with your best bet, my friend.
We definitely win opposite, and I will extend this at the end of the WSN Pick'em show. You can switch your best bet to mine right now if you want. You can do Titans plus 7.5.
I'll abstain from switching to your best bets. How about that?
All right, I'm going the exact opposite as Ryan Sullivan. I'm going the Titans plus 7.5. So one of us will be right, one of us will be wrong. There's no push because it's 7.5 unless there's a magical score on the weekend. That's not how it works.
No.
Either way, it is going to be fantastic. If the divisional playoffs were a little preview of what was to come, I can only imagine what's on tap for this weekend. Thank you for joining us. We will be back for a Super Bowl preview show. We are going to supersize it. It is going to be fantastic. And we'll find out if the Titans or the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl.
Here we go.
All right. Cheers. See you guys next week.